and a couple documents coming in the chat. The agenda for today and a guide about quizzes and rubrics and grading. So I wanted to start today showing you how to import course content. So if you have, you can imagine after a couple terms, a couple semesters, a couple school years, you're going to be repeating courses that in Canvas that you previously taught in Canvas. And you don't want to start from scratch and rebuild everything again because it's just a lot of work. So you can do what's called a course import. And I'm going to jump into my demo course. And the way you import is you start in settings. And over on the right, there's an option for import course content. And you would click that button. And you get a screen that looks like this. And if you've previously done any course imports, those would show up down below. You would choose content type. And so then you would say copy a Canvas course. And then you would start typing in the name of the Canvas course you want to copy over. And it should populate down below. And you can choose all content or select specific content. And this is where it gets a little bit less intuitive. If you choose all content, it will pull everything over. But if you only want to pull files or only assignments, you might want to choose select specific content. But when you select that, nothing happens because the thing that happens comes a little later. So just understand that if you click select specific content, nothing's going to pop up immediately. Then there's an option for adjusting events and due dates. So since your course that content you're importing is going to have old due dates, you can have it adjust those due dates based on whatever dates are put in for the course. You might want to just not adjust due dates. You might want to just have nothing have due dates because, not adjust because they might not be correct and you'd have to go in and fix it anyway. So if you click adjust events and due dates, these options show up. And I'll let Fred get connected here. Hi, Fred.
Oh, good morning.
What'll happen when you want to adjust due date, you click the adjust events and due dates box, you get this information. Your dates for your courses are populated in Canvas already based on what the registrar has. And so when you click this button, the dates will already be populated in here. So don't touch anything, because if you come in here and try to manually add your own dates, it'll just revert back to whatever the registrar has. So you don't need to do anything right here, but you can choose just remove dates. And then that will remove all due dates for any assignments, discussions, anything in the course. And then you can move the content over and just add new dates, which might be a cleaner process for you. Now there's this big warning sign here that says importing the same course content more than once will overwrite any existing content in the course. So let's say you import your course content and you go back and you repeat it again with different content, it's going to remove everything you previously did. So this is a one-time deal. So then you would click import, and this is where the option comes up to select specific content. So you'll get a gray message waiting for selection. You would select content, and then something like this will show up for you, and you can choose which content you want to copy over. You can click all of it, or you can just choose, okay, I only want my modules, assignments, quizzes, question banks, and so on. And you would choose that and you'd click select content. And then I'm not going to do that because I don't want to mess up my little demo course. And then you will get a message that says it's in queue. And then once it's completed, it'll be green, and then you'll be able to go into your course and everything will be there. Any questions about that? That's not something you'll need right now, and but you will probably want to take advantage of that eventually. So moving on to grading schemes. Rachel and Fred, are you able to grab those attachments, or do I need to put those in here for you again?
I can see 2 attachments.
Okay, Fred, are you able to see those as well? Hopefully.
Not yet, please.
Oh, okay. I'll put them in there again for you.
Now I see them. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so we're going to talk about grading schemes. So when you start to create assignments, quizzes, things like that, you have an option to have your own grading scheme in here. All courses already come with a grading scheme, but if you have a unique one that you like to use, you can add that to your course and override what's already in there. So you can go into your settings and scroll down. When you're in settings, the first thing you come to is course details, and everything, all sections are listed to the left and then the information's to the right. So you would come down here to find grading scheme. And then you can click the enable course grading scheme button. And then you get a little pop-up down here that says set grading scheme. So go ahead and you can click that. And you'll see what grading scheme is already in here if you've enabled that. And pretty standard grading scheme. If you want to select another one, you can, but you have to have one in there already. So let's just see what happens if I choose to select another one. There isn't one in there, so that's the message you will get. Oops. So if you want to create your own grading scheme, you would in here click the manage grading scheme. There's no button that says create new grading scheme here on this first section. So go ahead and click that. And then it says no grading schemes to display. And over on the right, you have a gray button to add a grading scheme. And then you get a pop-up like this, and you can name your grading scheme and adjust accordingly. And then you click save. Make sure you click save. And there's your new grading scheme. And go back into settings. And go down to grading schemes. Click enable grading scheme, set grading scheme, select another scheme, and there's the one you just created. Now, this is where it gets slightly less intuitive because we have red buttons for saving information and selecting information, but here they've chosen a gray one. So just know that it's not going to be quite as abundantly clear like the red buttons are. And then you would choose your grading scheme on the left. So you could have a few in here. And then use this grading scheme. And then make sure you click done. That's not a red button either. And so now you've set that grading scheme. You can only have one grading scheme for your course. You can't have a separate grading scheme for different assignments, things like that. But you do have the power to create your own if you want to. And then always make sure you click update course details. And then you can go back into your course and do other things. Any questions on grading scheme? Okay. All right. So the next item on the agenda is quizzes. And Canvas has two types of quizzes. They have new quizzes and classic quizzes. New quizzes is their new design for quizzes. And they were going to deprecate classic quizzes. That was the plan. However, they did a really bad job creating new quizzes and had a tremendous amount of pushback from those in the community using Canvas. So the deprecation of classic quizzes is on hold for who knows how long, until they can get new quizzes to a point where it's got the functionality of classic quizzes. Oh, you still have quizzes though, Heather. It's just you probably were using classic quizzes. So when you go into quizzes, and I already created one in here. When you initially go into quizzes, it's going to give you the option. I might actually, let me see if I have a course in here where I can show that to you. Let's go in here and see what happens. Okay, I haven't done anything in quizzes, so hopefully it'll show up. So if I click quizzes here, create quiz, when you very first go into your course to create a quiz, you are going to get this message. And it's going to ask you to choose a quiz engine. Do not choose new quizzes. Choose classic quizzes. Once they fix new quizzes, I will communicate that. I think it's going to be quite a while. And they fully admit they did poorly there. So anyway, when you get this message, make sure you choose classic quizzes. You can't have more than one type of quiz engine in your course. It's either classic or new. So just make sure you choose classic, click submit, and then that will allow you to create a quiz. I'm going to go back into this course. So when you create a quiz, you would click your quiz button, and it will open your quizzes, and you would choose add quiz. Oh, I am getting the option. I'm surprised it gave me that option because I'd already put a quiz in here. It usually doesn't give it twice. I copied some of that content over, maybe that's why. And it comes up into the typical rich content editor that the assignments, discussions, everything else has come in. So you would choose name your quiz. And put all of your prompting information, anything, you can put attachments in here. You can put files in here. You can put media in here, tables, all sorts of, you can embed things. And you can choose to do practice quiz. And this is what the new quizzes is lacking, a lot of this functionality. You could do practice quizzes. You can do graded surveys, ungraded surveys, or just a plain traditional graded quiz. And you can choose, if you've already created assignment groups, you can choose the assignment group that you want it to go under. So I'm choosing quizzes. You can have shuffle answers. You can give a time limit to students. Maybe they just get 60 minutes to create it, or 10 minutes, whatever. You can allow multiple attempts if you want. If you click that, it's going to ask you what you want to do with the score, highest, latest, or average, and how many attempts are allowed. And you can choose to let students see their quiz responses or not. And you can say, okay, I only want them to see the response one time after each attempt. You can let students see the correct answers, and you can choose, okay, well, I'll let them see the correct answers, but I need to make sure that those are only open once I know everybody's completed the quiz. And where this gets tricky is if you have students who are absent and they miss a quiz and they need to make it up, then you want to make sure that you haven't shown your correct answers too soon. So you can show correct answers at a certain date, and then you can hide them again. You can choose to show one question at a time instead of having the whole quiz in one big quiz. You can do access codes, IP address. I've never done the IP address thing, but it is available. You can assign it to everyone with certain due dates. I mentioned the situation where you might have a student who couldn't take the quiz when everybody else did, and you might need to come in and reassign it to them if you've already closed the quiz out. And you can do that. So let me just put a quiz in here from yesterday and say it's available yesterday through today. And then you can add another instance of you can assign it to certain people. You can assign it to, so let's say I want to assign it to, well, I don't have mastery paths in here. And let's say I'm giving them a different quiz date. You can do that. You can give different groups different quiz dates. So you would be able to reassign a quiz in here. Everything in here you can reassign to somebody if they missed out on it. Anyway. And then it'll remind you that this quiz is unpublished, and then you can come in here and you can publish it. You can go back in and you can edit it. But the most important part of the quiz are those questions. And this is the heavy lift when you first put quizzes in here, is adding these questions in. Once they're in your Canvas system and you can pull from them in the future. But it is work to put them in initially. You can create question groups. So I'm just going to call this data set 1. So you could create a question group if you really want. You don't have to have question groups. When you create a quiz question, this is what this will show up, and I did put a thing in here with that question group. This question group is set to pick more questions than are available. This data set group picks one question, and there's no questions available yet because I haven't put any in here yet. So anyway, I'm going to go back in here and just delete that data group, that question group real quick. So you have multiple choice, true, false, fill in the blank, fill in multiple blanks, multiple answers. You have a lot of options for quizzes in here. So you just choose multiple choice. You will type your answer here. Type your quiz question here. And then down here, you're going to, the first one that comes up, the green one, is always going to be the correct answer. So you type whatever that answer is. And then you can add feedback. So yes, this is correct, which is very poor feedback, but you can add this is correct because, any type of feedback you want students to have for a response. You don't have to put feedback. Maybe you just have the answers in here and later on you decide to add feedback. So you would add your answers, add the feedback if you want to, and so on. So once you have finished all of your questions, then you would save it. So, and you just have to keep adding your questions like that. And it's a little messy at first and it's a lot of work, but it's great once it's done. And I don't know if do you have other people help you in WISE with any of that type of, or do you mostly just build all of your own things in WISE? Okay. So anyway, that's how you build quizzes, a quiz and a quiz questions out. And a little bit of work. We also have rubrics that are available. And rubrics are, and you mentioned you don't really use rubrics, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, but rubrics are.
Heather does. She just
What-
wasn't on that first day.
Oh, Heather, amazing, fantastic, yay, you'll like this then. So you can put rubrics in here, and you have rubrics in your course level navigation. And you open it up, and over on the right here, there's the add rubric button, and you can build out your own rubric. You can add criterion. You can add out the point structure. And edit either, all of the point structure in here. And this is a very basic rubric because I have no criterion added to any of these, but and you can assign how many points you want your whole rubric to add up to, and it'll adjust all the little parts of the rubric for you. You can have a range, click range, and it'll look like this. Unclick range, and it's just solid points. Like quizzes, once you add rubrics in here, they're always here and you can always pull from them. So that's a really great option. Once you do the hard work of creating your rubrics, then they're there and they're available, and you can assign them to different tasks in your course. I'm going to show you some better examples of rubrics in a little while. But so you can attach rubrics to assignments, to quizzes, things like that. So let's go into this other course real quick. This Canvas American History course. And if I click the rubric button here, there are quite a few rubrics already added to this course. These are the ones Canvas put in this course. So you can click on any of these and you can see how they've built out these rubrics, the point structure. They have the criteria. They don't have much explaining all the levels in this one, but they do have the standards. Let's see. This one has a little bit more in here. So this is a written response rubric, and they have some information in here about length, completeness, organization. So you can build your rubric out to be whatever you want. And then the way it looks in an assignment, is, so now I've just opened up an assignment that was created in here, and here's the prompt for the assignment points, and then here's what the rubric looks like. And if you want to see how it looks to the student, it looks pretty much the same. They just don't have this all boxed out. So the student gets to see that rubric ahead of time when they're going into an assignment. And Heather, that's okay that they're complicated. They should be. That's the point of it, is to be detailed so students can understand what that nuance is between a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, a 5, whatever your point structure is. So you'll enjoy this. It'll be a little bit of a heavy lift initially putting them in here, but then they'll be available to you. So, and then when you go into SpeedGrader, the rubric is really nice because then you can just grade. You fill in the information in the rubric, and I'll show you this in a minute, and then it automatically grades the assignment for you. You can add rubrics to quizzes, discussions, and assignments. When I used to teach in the School of Ed, I had rubrics for discussions because I realized if I didn't, students would be pretty bland in what they included in discussion. So anyway, so let's go into the grade book for this demonstration course. I put some fake students in here and some fake assignments. And I fully admit I use ChatGPT for my submissions. But anyway, so we have some students in here who have turned some things in, and you'll notice we have 3 colors going on here. We've got blue, we have pink, we have kind of a red, which is sort of more of a pink. So there is and linked in your guide today, there's a pretty hefty packet about the grade book. Lots of information. It's a little bit too much information when you're just new to all of this, but it's a good reference document. So when things are blue, that means they're submitted late. When things are red, they're missing. And so we have a lot of missing, and we have different shades of red, different shades of blue, and that's, but obviously these red ones are missing, and you can see because there's nothing there. If you want to do grading in here, but you have a student, if you have your students hand in, you know, paper documents to you or another way of submitting, not in Canvas, and you grade those things manually, you can come in here and add the points. And so even if the assignment, you chose the no submission option, you can still grade in here. You just want to make sure that your assignment setting says that it's not going to be submitted. Because you can just click on these boxes and you can say, okay, well, the student did this. I have the paper copy and I graded it, handed it back, and they got 25 out of 25. And so these show that when you just see the actual submission icon here, that shows that there's a submission, but it hasn't been graded. Once it's graded, you get a you get a check mark there. If you want to go into Speed Grader, you can grade it. And then anytime in Gradebook, you can click on an actual student and you get a little summary about them. And you'll see basically their progress, and you'll see star ratings for, you know, how much they're participating in course and how much they're looking at pages in a course. But keep in mind, if you don't have much developed in your course, these things won't be particularly meaningful to you. So you can also click to email a student. If you notice that they're behind on something, you can just go right here to email them and say, you know, get your work turned in, whatever, you know, whatever kind of message you will send to them. Because sample student 2 is missing 7 assignments. But their grade's 100% based on what they've turned in. But you would have to actually manually come in here and fail them out of these things if they actually never turn them in. So anyhow, you can get to Speed Grader here. So we have 2 papers that need grading here, and I can click. It's not real obvious that these have an ellipsis because you have to hover over them to get to them. So you would click that and you get a lot of options. You can message the students who haven't submitted, have not been graded, scored less than. And you can go to your Speed Grader, you can curve grades, set default grades, enter grades as points or percentages, download submissions. And here's that grade posting policy. Are you going to automatically post grades, or are you going to manually release grades at a later time? So let's go into Speed Grader. Now that I actually have fake but real assignments in here, you'll be able to see, hopefully, here we go. So if there's a submission from a student, it will show up like this. Do either of you ever do anonymous grading? You don't want to see the student's name, you just want to grade it without any predisposed
I-
thought?
I do.
Okay, so you can go up here and click the gear and click options. And you can hide student names in the speed grader. So you just click this box. You can also sort by student name, the date they submitted, by submitted status, like needs grading, not submitted, etc. So if you have a bunch of students not submitted yet, you wouldn't have to keep filtering through those. Those would all be in one kind of group. But you can hide student names if you want. And then it would just be student 1, student 2 up here on the right. You can toggle through your students up here. You can also click the arrow key, and then you'll get a list of all of your students. But then if they're not, if you've hidden the names, you'll just it'll just be student 1, student 2, and so on. If you prefer, you can download their submission, but then you wouldn't have the functionality of the speed grader, obviously. So this is speed grader, and we talked about the rubric. If you click view rubric, the rubric pops up here, and then you just fill your points in for where they landed on the rubric, and then that automatically gives them points on the assignment. If you don't have a rubric at all, then you'll just manually add your point grading points in there. But that's how you can see the rubric and fill it in. You can make comments, click comments, and then write a comment about that section of the rubric. You know, you only received a 2 here, you know, because of this and whatever. And you can always expand out these boxes for yourself. And let's see here. And this is late. It'll tell you if it's late. And this is 1,070 days late. It'll tell you how many days is late. I'm just being funny because this is a course Canvas put in here a long time ago. And you can add general comments to the course. You can add an attachment. You can, right now, you can put a media comment in, but I think that's going to go away because we are not going to use Canvas Studio. So that button will probably disappear. You can do a voice comment. And you can reassign the assignment to a student as well. But, oh, Jed does cumulative lateness.
Yeah, like in general, will it tell you, how does it break the lateness down? Does it just give you the timestamp that it's late, or will it break it down by days or hours or?
It'll break in here. It breaks it down by days.
Okay.
And actually it's got 1,070.19 days. So it's actually, because the grade had the assignment has an actual timestamp on it. The original assignment had a timestamp. It'll do that. If you don't have a timestamp on it, if you just have a date, it's not going to do the
Sure. Okay.
what portion of the day.
Right.
So once you're in here, you have a lot of options in here. You can do a point annotation. So, and you can choose your colors over here, whatever color you want. And you can annotate a point and make a comment. If you ever do something, you're like, oh, that's not where I wanted it to be. You can always just click the little trash can and get rid of that. Why is it not going away? Oh, right here, you have to click over it. It'll always give you the warning box. It's okay. Are you sure you want to delete this annotation? You can highlight a portion of the paper and then make a comment. If you don't like your comment, you can delete it. You can delete the highlight. It's going to make sure you know you are going to ask you if you really want to do it. You can actually come in here and write something in here, which is a little You have to play when you can do strike throughs in here. I don't know if either of you ever do anything like that when you're grading. But remember, you can always delete anything you did in here if you accidentally clicked on the wrong spot. You can manually hand draw lines in here, not quite as pretty. You can box certain parts. Yeah. Did you write this yourself? I put that in there because I did not write this myself. I used my resources. And then you can reply in here. Students can come in here and reply to things that you put in here. So lots of options with speed grader. It's pretty fun. It's allows you to do a lot of cool grading in here that maybe you would have done pencil paper in the past, or you wished you could do better with your grading with students. Any questions about speed grader? Pretty straightforward. You just kind of have to come in here and play with it, but it's nice because you just filter through and then you get the next student's submission. So here's the other sample student I have in here, and here's their submission. We'll go back to the one I was just on and just show you if you do use a rubric. Okay, I'm going to give them 3 here, 4, 5, 2, 4.
I noticed that the rubric options highlight when you mouse over them. Can you just click on them and it will fill in the points, or do you actually have to fill in the points manually?
Let's try that. I've always just been filling them in. Oh, yeah, you can just click them.
Sweet.
One less thing to do.
Yeah.
And then you just click save. And then it'll look like this. So you see how if you don't add the criteria for the different ratings, it doesn't really give the students feedback. It doesn't give them important feedback, but maybe you have another document that explains it better and you just have not gotten around to adding all the details in your Canvas courses yet. And then you click submit, and then that grades the assignment. Let's go in here for this one and see if we can do partials on here, because I can't remember. Let's see, 3.5. Yeah, no, yeah, you can't do partial points. Sorry, Heather. But you can always request. I'm pretty sure that Canvas has a great community where you can go in and request functionality, and you'd probably find that other people have asked for that as well. And generally the answer is, we have your request, we're working on it. But anyhow, so that's the speed grader. That's how rubrics look in the speed grader. So let's go ahead and just grade this student. And you'll see that, green, orange, and red. So orange is like, okay, kind of in the middle. The green is good and the red is not so great. And you can add additional comments, whatever. So anyway, did I miss one of these? So that's the speed grader. And we can go back to the grade book. And now you see points in here. I know, Heather, I like the 0.5s too. I'm a firm believer in that. So now you see we have some grades populating here, percentages, and so on. Another thing you can do is attendance in here. They have a function in here called roll call attendance. And once you actually have real students in your course, you can go in and take roll, and it allows you to, I don't have an example to show you, but it allows you to mark students late. You can mark them tardy, you can mark them, you can make their tardies unexcused, you can excuse absences, and you can create assignments, roll call attendance assignments that will populate your grade book if you grade with attendance. So that's an option you'll have in here as well. And you'll see that option when you click on attendance. You would see that option. Attendance in this course. When you have attendance in here, you will have, you'd see all your students in here, and then you would have you'd add your attendance meetings in here, and you'd see all your students, and you'd be able to get analytics on them, and code all of their attendance. It's really quite nice. And then it would populate points in your grade book if you want it to, if you give points for attendance. So that is another option. And that's really all I have for you today. I think the grading, everything with the grading is just kind of get in there and create quizzes, create things, and learn, deepen your understanding about it. So, but that's pretty much a tour around the quiz options and rubrics and such. And
Sarah, can I ask how things work with TAs if we want to have a TA help grade things?
yes, TAs, if you have, you remember the TA talk on Monday
Right.
for the training. Yes, TAs can be assigned. When we put them in, we can choose what to allow. The TAs actually functionality in Canvas does allow them to grade.
Okay.
And they could go in and you can make them create your quizzes.
Just need them to, it would be nice if, I could.
Yeah, but they will have that functionality to be able to do that.
Okay.
So absolutely.
Is there
and-
any way to, I don't think this is gonna work. Is there any way, so for our Python classes, we have a handful of TAs that do some of the grading, but they grade students from their sections, which are pulled from all three of the different Python lecture sections. Is there any way that there can be like cross course? It's not gonna work. Because ideally then the TA should only have access to submit the grades from their student section, but those students are pulled from all three class sections.
They have to be assigned as a TA in each course.
Yeah, and then if
And
they
that
were
might
to
be
do that, though, then
okay.
they would be able to see all the scores for all the students in that course, right? Not just the ones from their,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay,
So something to talk about.
yep.
Any other questions? All right, well, you know how to find me if you have questions, and if you dig into this in a month or so and you have questions, just let me know.
Thanks, Sarah.
All right, I will send you this video and I'll send you all the attachments from the week and everything.
Perfect.
All right, have a great day.
Bye.
Bye.
You too.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.